What's up, y'all? Harkos here. So I'm sitting here thinking while I'm on my morning walk out here in the woods about this whole UMG TikTok thing, and then how all of a sudden now they're having another bill coming through Congress and everything like that to ban TikTok is what they're labeling it as. But in reality, what it is it's the same thing that they tried to do back in 2020, where it says that TikTok has to sell to an American company or it has to get removed off of the app stores, right? And what that does is, if it's under the control of an American company by at least 51%, then that means that the American government has access to all the metadata and make sure that all the metadata is not going to another country, which poses, national security issues, stuff like that. I'm not going to argue pro or con any of that nonsense because that gets into politics, and I try to keep that out of this. However, I'm sitting here thinking about it. I'm like, hold on, okay, so they tried doing it in 2020, but when they tried doing it in 2020, that was because TikTok was taking over the market share of attention that Facebook and the other social media platforms were getting, right? And so the whole move then was like, oh, one of them will end up buying it, or somebody adjacent to them in Silicon Valley will start buying them. But I'm sitting here thinking now that Universal just pulled their music off of TikTok over a royalty dispute, supposedly, right? And then all of a sudden, magically, within a month or so, Congress decides to put up a bill, finally, to ban TikTok. Now, not only is it convenient that, yes, again, it is during an election year, but besides that, the timing seems way too convenient. Universal Music Group is the largest music company in America or the world, one of the two. Probably the world. But anyway, they have immense control and immense pull over the American government. So I don't see it as a coincidence that they did that. Plus, the UMG just cut $271 million worth of salaries, right? Which means that they laid a lot of people off. And, a lot of people, I've been seeing them argue about how, oh, well, that's just because of corporate greed. They just want to fuck the artists over even more. Maybe. I'd see that about 10%. I always try to tell people, look at things as a chess game of inches, okay? When you see one move, that's not the whole move, okay? There's a lot of planning behind it, and if you've never played chess, you don't fully know. But, do your research. Chess is a lot more complicated than checkers, okay? And each piece on the chessboard can move in a certain way, and they have different rules, right? You get a pawn all the way to the other side, now you get your queen back, or you get that pawn to act as a queen, stuff like that, if you already still have your queen. You get additional powers when you do certain things, blah, 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 anything like that. Well, if you think about it like this, the theory I just came up with while I'm out here was UMG is quite possibly positioning themselves to become major shareholder or owner of TikTok. Now, it was announced the other day that UMG has already created their own version of a TikTok. That might still stay. However, the reasoning with that, well, not the reasoning with that, but like the paper that they put out on that said that, it's going to be a place for artists where they can, collaborate with each other and blah, blah, blah. It's just going to be an artist circle jerk. It's not going to have very many fans, okay? And in order to have a proper music business, you need fans, not other artists to work with, right? And that's where a lot of artists miss, because they're always trying to get other artists to support them and become their fan, and artists need to support other artists. No, that's just a tactic that people use when they don't know how to get fans. And so they try bullying other artists into supporting them. Like, oh, I support everybody. Why does nobody support me? Stuff like that, right? That's just bullshit. That's just because you don't know how to market yourself. You don't know how to attract fans because you don't know what your fan base is, because you haven't run any kind of strategic marketing campaign whatsoever, even the free ones, right? You haven't tried to create different pieces of creative content and see what hits organically, and then that will tell you what your audience is into, right? Because if you create 5 different pieces of creative content for your 5 different songs, and one hits way more than the other ones, and then the next week you go and make 2 pieces of content in that same style with that same song, and then both of them hit well, guess what? Now you're onto something. See, and you're all doing this for free, okay? So I'm not talking about, oh, you need to pay thousands of dollars to figure out who your fan base is. Nah, you just need to spend a couple hours. Anyway, I think that TikTok is quite possibly getting positioned to be bought out by Universal Music. And when that happens, things will pretty much stay the same. Artists will not get paid more. I don't give a fuck what they will say, right? Let's just say this is my prediction. My prediction is this bill will pass through Congress and everything like that, get signed by, the president. And it will go in. There will be a bidding war or whatever. There'll be a lot of pageantry. And I'm sure right before the election is when this will actually get put into place, right? And somebody will buy it. My theory is UMG will buy them. They'll either be the top runner the whole time, or they'll come out of left field and end up buying them. When they buy them, they'll immediately put their music back on to TikTok, and they'll say artists are now going to get higher royalties because now, music is in control of TikTok, right? But it's not going to be like that. Their artists will get a higher percentage of royalties, quite possibly. However, if you're not affiliated with UMG, you're not going to get that extra bump in your royalty spend, right? Also, too, they might start seeing some people as competition to their artists, either that are independent or that are on other labels that they don't control, and they'll end up starting to throttle their reach on TikTok. They'll end up engaging in a lot of fuckery, basically. I could definitely see that happening because, let's just face it, y'all, TikTok is the number one place on the internet for fans to discover new music and for artists to get discovered, for artists to grow for almost free, right? Like, all you gotta do is just create the content, put it out, be entertaining, and the TikTok algorithm is based on interest, right? That is how it works. UMG knows this. UMG's not stupid. So again, I see UMG taking their stuff off of TikTok as a way to try to cripple TikTok to where their market share goes down lower so that they're cheaper to buy. Then they ended up having this bill put up through Congress to ban TikTok, right? I think that UMG had a big hand in it. And then UMG ended up cutting $271 million worth of salaries. Some of them might have been people who had some kind of job responsibility in making sure that the royalties were getting kicked from TikTok properly. Maybe some TikTok relations group or whatever, shit like that, right? For them to let go of those people that quick after that action signifies to me that at least a good amount of them were people that had to do with TikTok relations in some form or fashion. But then they're also probably getting rid of a lot of weight so that they can be a little bit more agile. $271 million worth of salaries, that's just what the employees get. Anybody who ever has ran a business or knows anything about running a business knows that for every dollar that you pay an employee, you have almost another dollar on the back end as an employer of regulatory things that you have to pay, whether it is, the payroll tax, Social Security and stuff like that, right? A lot of things that you got to do And especially at executive levels where they're dealing with salaries and stuff like that, like actual salary pay, not hourly pay. There's a lot of other benefits and everything like that with, the healthcare regulations and stuff like that. It ends up costing, like I said, on average around $1 per hour more. So if you're getting paid $20 an hour, you're actually close to a $40 an hour cost as an employee. So when they're doing that, now they just took and cut out, $500 million out of their annual budget worth of salaries, right? Because, 271 times 2, that'll give you approximately $540 million, right? So let's just call it 500 million. That's $500 million. They just cut $500 million out of their expenses. Now they're leaner. Now they don't have as much overhead. Now they have $500 million plus. Let's go ahead and multiply that by about 3 to 5 for equity now that they have, that they can leverage in order to get basically tax-free loans in order to have the money to purchase TikTok. So you got $500 million times 2. Well, obviously we know that is $1 billion. You do it times 4, that's $2 billion. So they're going to have between $1 and $2 billion to purchase TikTok. All right. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a genius, and but this is my theory, and it's based on all the information that I just had right there. They're going to buy TikTok. They're going to put their music back on TikTok. They're going to start controlling TikTok. The government's going to control TikTok, obviously, so some of your experience may be a little bit more limited, like it is on Facebook and stuff like that, but we already know that TikTok, bans and removes content at approximately the same rate that Facebook and others do anyway, so that won't really change. But as an artist, you may start seeing your independent stuff get throttled a little bit because there's now a special interest group that has interest in their music getting promoted over yours, stuff like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off of here because it's been 12 minutes, but that's my theory on this whole TikTok universal, TikTok versus the government shit that's going on. The government wants control, UMG wants control, because TikTok has the attention of most of the country. The government wants to control that attention and that metadata, and the special interest groups that control the government want that information as well too. And if it's going to another country, then they are losing in their point of view, right? And then also too, on the music side, TikTok is the largest platform for discovery for music. UMG is the largest music corporation. They want control. It's a control game. That's all it is. Both of these interests want control. They each want it for their own ends. And since they are the most powerful entities, federal government is more powerful than state and local. UMG is more powerful than, Atlantic and Warner and all of them. Power plays, baby. It's a chess game of inches, y'all. Make sure you watch out for all the moves. Holla at y'all later.